Imagine if the Bitcoin network actually reduced greenhouse gas emissions. This would not only inspire other industries, it would mean that trillions of ESG funds could deploy into Bitcoin, removing the final barrier to mainstream adoption. Last year I asked, how much Bitcoin mining powered by flare gas would make the Bitcoin network greenhouse negative? 2,700 megawatts. That'd take 40 years. Then I asked, what if we used vented methane from landfills? 280 megawatts. That's doable. I ran some numbers. How much infrastructure financing would that mean? 450 million. That's doable. A couple of investors reached out, suggested we set up an infrastructure financing fund to do it. And 1 year later, we've cracked how to make the risk-reward equation attractive to both Bitcoin miners and wholesale investors into our fund. Now some background. Landfill gas power generation predates Bitcoin mining. The problem is, for many landfills, it's not possible to sell that power back to the grid. The grid's too old, upgrading costs too much, or in some cases, government policies prevent it. I asked Nuno Barbosa, who's been doing landfill power generation for 20 years, how many landfills have no option to sell that power back to the grid? 50% globally. Here's why that's bad for everyone. Methane is 84 times more warming than carbon dioxide over a 20-year period. Rising at a parabolic rate, the UN has declared us our strongest lever to slow climate change. And of methane, 17% comes from landfills. If we can't touch half those landfills, our climate has a problem. So I asked Nuno, well, what if those landfills that can't sell power to the grid had an on-site customer? And he said, that would change everything. Now some people ask me, well surely there's someone else who could use this power on site. We've asked, there really isn't. Landfills are not popular places to set up a business because, unique to Bitcoin miners, 80% of their operating costs are electricity. They're the only ones prepared to invest the capex to chase that cheap power. And then last year, NASA satellite footage revealed that we had underestimated landfill gas emissions by 2.27 times. Landfills are not 17% of our methane emissions, they're closer to 30%. That means that Bitcoin mining is the only viable way to reduce 15% of our global methane emissions. It can do it using existing technology. Before 2030, that makes Bitcoin mining potentially the greatest ESG asset of our time. We asked Nuno and some friends to join our team. They said yes. We close our first $50 million fund this year. It has the impact of planting 150 million trees, reducing 4 million tonnes of greenhouse emissions. That's 11% of the Bitcoin network. The journey has begun to make Bitcoin the first industry in the world to go greenhouse negative.